Okay, Jared, thank you for making the time, man. I appreciate it. How's your day going so far?
Doing great, Paul and Kayla. I so appreciate
Hi.
you open up the opportunity to be with you guys.
Absolutely. Jared, you're not the normal real estate agent that we talk to, so I wanna first set out by saying, like, okay, you just told us earlier how many closings have you had in the last month?
Actually, in about just under 4 weeks, five.
Okay, so you're a higher volume agent, right? So any agent watching this, I want to set that precedence right now. Now, Jared, I want to first, I always start out the same way. Tell me about yourself.
Yeah.
The first question I'll ask, right, is how long have you been licensed for? What brokerage are you with? Where in the country are you? Let's get some background and then we'll go into deep background because your background is unlike most others. So
Yeah,
break it down for me.
absolutely. So I've been licensed for 2 years.
Okay.
When I started, I was just I came out of burnout, was taking some time off, and just was like, okay, I wanted to figure out, all the things like what area, how am I going to do it, my branding, lead sourcing, all the things you deal with. And I was really trying to look at, okay, what do I carry over from my past to the present from my kind of executive coaching marketing experience. And in doing so, I didn't just rush right into it, which was good, but then also was bad because right when I was getting ready to launch into it, and I jumped to the brokerage in February of 2020,
Got hit
COVID hit. Yeah. So next thing I know, COVID hit a month later, and it was like crickets, didn't have any lead sourcing, didn't know really what to do. And I just had to dig into things of like, okay, I had to be resourceful. And I realized that constraints force creativity. And so I began going to YouTube and reading a lot and just getting a ton of understanding, like doing videos. I started just doing a lot of video work, and out of video work, I did one that just was like 10 minutes long saying why I love Winter Garden, Florida, #1 city to live. And it's now had like 12,000 views, and I've had all kinds of clients come off of that. I had one family say their family and her son and his wife are moving to Florida because of my video, which was seriously crazy.
Changing lives with YouTube videos. That's cool.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so I'm with Preferred Real Estate Brokers
Okay.
here in Orlando. And so we have about 280 agents, but I've been actively like jumped in. I would say it's been about just about a year where I really just kind of went like head first.
I love that, man. And talk to me about, I mean, so we talked a little bit about your background. I want other people to hear it. So give me like the kind of high level of what you used to do, but in essence, it sounded like you literally had a little bit of, equity in a company that had $1 billion exit. So
Yeah, yeah,
you have some high value experience. Talk to me about that.
yeah. So crazy. It's I spent about 20 years in array of things, but really executive coaching, consulting, strategic planning, life coaching, really helping navigate people personally with personal development. So a lot of interpersonal relational skills. And then got really involved in the startup space with people like IPOs, mergers and acquisitions. And some guys I met from New Zealand had this idea for an app. And I helped shape that. And they couldn't afford to pay me, so I got 1% of the company. And then about 5 years ago, they reached out and said, "Hey, just so you know, we're going public in New Zealand." And now they're valued over $1 billion. And so,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
it's been crazy. And that gave me the opportunity because of that to transition into real estate and be able to not, to live off savings for a while until I was able to get to the place where I was able to really support it without pulling out of savings.
I love that. Okay, well, let's get into, everyone now knows who you are, right? So let's get into how it's been with the EstateNurture so far. Let me actually first start with this. Why did you even come on with EstateNurture in the first place? You said you were with another company before you came on, right?
Yeah, I've been with a few different marketing companies. I actually had a national mortgage company that was paying for my marketing.
Okay.
And, so I want, when you have that, you also want to make sure that, there's accountability and you got to execute. And so I want to be a good steward of that. And so I began to look at it, and I was with a few others and just wasn't seeing the return on investment that I was hoping for. And then I think I came across you guys through a Facebook group. It's like
Okay.
in Facebook where people post like, "Hey, lead sourcing." And I came across where it said EstateNurture.
I'll
And I
take that.
thought, yeah, no, and I thought that's interesting. And then as I began to dig into it, it piqued my interest. And then I called and spoke with one of your guys, and they talked about the artificial intelligence and the lead follow-up and lead generation with Facebook. Because I'm a huge believer in Facebook. It's where the masses are. But just because you put an ad up doesn't mean it's going to be effective. And just because you get people to come through doesn't mean, like before I was doing with you guys, there's times I get a lot of leads, but without Ayla and without the CRM and the voicemail drops, it's a lot to chase down. And you hear a lot of agents saying, oh my God, I can't keep up with it. Then you're paying for this and you get overwhelmed. And then you feel guilty that things are slipping through the cracks, and they are.
The joke is that a good campaign creates many more issues than itself.
It's absolutely true. And so out of, it's like you think you want lead source, not throw money at it. But so when I heard about Ayla, and I understand artificial intelligence and took time to really understand what you guys were doing, I thought, okay, I think you guys are absolutely onto something. And when I saw how the outworkings of it on the front end, now that I've been doing it and watching it play out, where I can literally be on my phone and watch a conversation happening and people have no idea it's Ayla who's not even real. And I just allow her to do her thing. And that allows me to do my thing, which takes a lot of weight off me.
I love if you had to give like an estimate on how much time Ayla has saved you every week, would it be a few hours? Would it be over 10 hours? Like, has she taken much work off your plate?
Oh, absolutely. It's hard to equate to time because there's times like last week, I think I had 5 appointments scheduled,
Okay.
And so with going back and forth and communicating, because,
That's the time savings, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. Because without her, I've tried doing that, the kind of binary questions going through, do you want a 3 or 4 bedroom or larger? Do you want a $400,000 or less? And you got to figure out, like, it's not easy to do those binary questions because people give you an answer and then they drop off and then they'll jump back in. Well, I don't have to worry about that with Ayla. Ayla does it. They jump off and then suddenly they come back and then she jumps back in. Or what's been great is I can watch certain conversations happen. I'll go back and, like, I just had one last week, which I realized went back to June when they opted in. So here for a month, it was nurturing with my emails and the CRM and doing that. And then suddenly they just answered and boom, she was right there to schedule the appointment.
I think that's so powerful because a lot of the case studies we've done, I don't know if you've seen them, like they're, sometimes they're first month successes.
Yeah.
And a lot of agents that come on with us, they expect a first month success every time. And it usually doesn't play out that way. And it's kind of because of exactly what you just said. People opt in 1 month, 6 months ago. It happened, like I've seen up to, I think the longest was 8 months. Usually you don't get people a year down the road finally, engaging. But people will engage through that nurturing and then set appointments. And that's why month 1 looks so much worse than month 3 and month 6 looks so much better than month 3 and so on. Absolutely. So I love that point. Let's talk about kind of the success you've had so far with us. So I mean, how long have you been on? Let me pull up your account. You've been on for a few months, correct? Yeah. Talk to me about the output. Like, what have you seen? How are you liking it? I know that you said you just closed 5 deals in the last 4 weeks and that 2 of them came from kind of the work we've done together. I don't want to take 100% ownership by any of that, but talk to me about that stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've done 5, the others came from, when I talked about the website videos, came from Meeting Website. I got one guy from West Virginia, one from Austin, saw my video. And then, but then I got the 2 EstateNurtures. But, what's been great is, I should say this. It's great because I'm seeing the return on investment. But, it's the same thing. Ayla will do what she does, but you've got to do what you can do.
100%.
And what I've realized is that I could be real passive and allow her to do it. But I also, if I'm going to spend money, I also want to make sure that as an agent, sometimes the hardest part is saying, okay, carving out time to do phone calls. And a lot of people don't like phone calls, but what I realized versus other marketing companies I've been with, I was getting Facebook ads, but the phone numbers were bad or no phone numbers. What I realized with you guys is that it was like legit leads every single time. So I would say the vast majority of time that I call people, it's the right name, it's the right email, it's the right phone number. So if Ayla doesn't catch them, what I usually do is then I'll go through and I will just start going through and just calling on names, just going through my phone, looking at leads, calling them. And I'll tell you, I've had so many times people pick up the phone. I've had incredible conversations. And so I actually, on my desk at work, I have a stack like super thick of leads that when I talk to them, I hard write everything, and then I'll convert it into the CRM. So I have that to work off of. But yeah, I got a lot that's going to be a result of the leads that came through you guys.
Oh, I love that, man. And thank you. And usually I'll talk about best practices. You just named one, right?
Yeah,
And it's like we call them passive agents.
yeah,
9 out of 10 agents that come on want to be passive. They never want to pick up the phone and put in that extra personal touch. But just taking that little bit of time and actually calling people
yeah,
and saying like, hey, yeah, like I am the agent that will reach out to you.
yeah.
Like it can go miles and miles and miles. So I love hearing that that's paid off for you.
When I'll say, it's not a cold call. When I call, especially if it's been within a week or two, and I just say, hey, this is Jared. We connected online, and you'd requested some information, which tells me you're probably in the market to purchase a home. Is that correct? And right there, they'll either say yes or no. And a lot of times they'll say yes. I say, great. So, hey, tell me about you. Where are you located? And a lot of them are either out of state, or I'll say, great. And I don't just jump into, you want a 3-bedroom or 2-bedroom?
Yeah.
I really try to dig into placing value on them.
Build a rapport with them.
Yeah, and figuring out like, what is it that I can connect with? What's some common ground? Saying, okay, a simple one is, hey, are you originally from Orlando? No, I'm from New York. Oh, really cool. And then I earn the right, once they feel like they're heard, to transition into really kind of getting the data.
That's awesome. Because 9 out of 10 agents, when they do call, the first thing out of their mouth is like, "Are you pre-approved yet? Do you need me to send you to a lender?" And
No.
I know the answer is no. Like,
I know, but
yeah. I mean,
you want to avoid that, because
yeah.
what I've realized too, and I've helped, before even coach. I mean, since I was 17, I was doing telemarketing. When I was in high school, I was like, I need to make money, so I did telemarketing, and I did that into college the first couple of years. And so, getting on the phone for me is not hard. But even then, there's still the aspect of nobody likes rejection. But if you just approach it as, it's not a cold call, they sought out information online. They're obviously interested. So again, energy begets energy. So if I approach it with kind of fear and negative energy, then that's what I'm going to get. Versus if I approach it with confidence that, hey, instead of, I have to do this, I get to do this. I get to call them. I get to help them. And you know what? I look at it as like, dialing for dollars. This one might just be actually 1 month's worth of income.
Yeah.
And so that's.
Do you follow the KPI sheet that we give agents?
What's that?
Every agent gets a KPI sheet with us. Do you ever check to see like the amount per phone call that you're making for each phone call? We average out how many dollars for every phone call you make you'd be making.
No, it's something I've talked to Kayla about. I want to dig more into. It's it's like I've just, this past few months have just been buried. It's kind of like I said to my wife, I don't even know where the summer went, because it was just nonstop. Like, people are complaining about the market, saying I can't get deals. And so I've had to get creative because of my strategic planning. I've gotten really creative on how I kind of shape deals. And out of that, I had to pivot from my frustration to like, no, I'm going to do it differently. And now I'm getting deals done.
I love that, man. Good for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And right before we hopped on, you actually said something that's really, really big. You said that you just left a company you were also working with to go all in on us. Tell me about that.
Yeah, no, so it's a company that, same thing, I found them through some threads on Facebook. Great concept. They're a different play. They're kind of trying to build long-term brand awareness, but they use a thing called fuzzy ROI. So it's hard to track. And again, it's kind of more of a long-term play, and it's a lot more expensive. To be honest, it's just more expensive. I wasn't seeing the return on investment on spending more than I was seeing with EstateNurture. So to me, it really was a no-brainer. So I just actually reached out to him and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to be canceling, because I'm going to actually increase my ad spend now with EstateNurture. Because again, it's kind of like when you got a horse race, it's like you bet a couple horses. It's like the one that starts to take the lead. It's like you throw all your money at it. And so this is the winning horse.
I love that, man. Thank you. And I one of my last questions, I guess, is, so far with EstateNurture, beside the results, what's the support and like the partnership been like? Because I know you're working one-on-one with Kayla.
Yeah.
We have Telegram and Voxer. Like, has that been helpful in terms of your success with us?
Oh no, absolutely. I've had experience with the marketing companies, but yes, the ROI has been fantastic, compared to others. But at the same time, if I didn't have someone like Kayla, you know what, then I don't know if I would be staying. Again, she is, and this is kudos to Kayla. She is the best of the best out there. She attention to detail, just constantly like, what do you need? It's like if I have to, come through and just say, hey, what I need some help on this, or can you check into this? She's so attentive, always getting back. It makes my job easier, because the thing is, every time something doesn't get done, you have to come back to it. And you're looking to see if you lose time. And I don't have that with her. So when we're on our calls, we're knocking it out. Super supportive, just incredible spirit. Yeah, she's a huge asset. So I would clone her if you can for the other agents.
It's the hardest part, this.
Yeah.
We love having her. I always say it's one of the things I'm most proud of as one of the owners is the level of support that our team gives to our clients, because it's not easy to do as a company, to make sure that like you're like, you have to find A players like Kayla. And it's also like not the like from a business perspective, not the cheapest way to go about it, because you have to like it really limits the amount of people Kayla can work with to make sure she can be as attentive as she is.
Yeah.
And I've always said there are really 3 reasons in general real estate agents wouldn't work with a company long term, right? Reason number 1 is sometimes there are companies out there that suck. I'm sure you've said you've worked with many. I'm sure you've found companies that are not good at what they do.
There's plenty of those.
Yep. And it makes our job harder, because I can't tell if anyone's watching this and you're thinking about coming on with us and you've been burned by someone before. Trust me when I say you're not the only agent. Reason number 2 is a lot of the times companies might be great, but the agent doesn't show up. Like the agent doesn't actually do the work to make it work for them. And we even have to come across sometimes. I can't tell you there are so many agents that have come on with us and they'll miss every mapping call with Kayla. We won't hear from them for months down the road. They're not in their CRM at all. They might take the appointments we don't even know. And then 3 months, 4 months down the road, they're like, hey, this isn't working right now. And we're like, where have you been the last, for the last 4 months, man?
Yeah.
The third point is what we really try to hit, because this is the worst way to lose somebody. It's when you have a client that's really working their butt off to try to make it work. Yeah. And when the company has a great program, but the company doesn't support the client or the real estate in actually making it work for them. And that's why the support's so important here. That's why we have Voxer and
absolutely
to make sure that everyone's so tailored.
I couldn't agree more.
What do you think so far has been your just favorite part about it? Like for anyone that's thinking about coming on, what's like the one thing about EstateNurture beside ROI that's just, or in general, I guess, that has made all this worth it to you?
Again, a couple of things. The technology with ALA is phenomenal. I've shared with other agents. I mean, I'm constantly, when I talk to the people and they're asking what I'm doing, I'm telling them, you got to go with EstateNurture. And those are people local, so it's gonna be my competition. But I'd be remiss. I mean, it's like, and these are people that I work. We do deals, we do things. When I'm out of town, I hand things off. But because I so believe in what you guys are doing, but the thing is, again, the support is everything, because it's just like in real estate. I really lean into my transaction coordinator, and I can do what I can do because I have a great transaction coordinator. Okay. And I hear a lot of people complain, I don't have the time, and they're dropping the ball. But again, you have to be able to hand certain things off in order to, kind of be in that sweet spot of your strengths, so that you don't play your weaknesses. And in this case, Kayla is able to, like Kayla and your support team is able to play to those areas and to help me, so I can stay in my lane, stay in my strength, and so that I can execute. And again, if I didn't have that, and just as I didn't have a TC, I wouldn't be doing the deals that I'm doing.
I love that. I always say play to your strengths. Always try to grow your weaknesses, but people try to grow them before they just play to their strengths. And so it's exactly what it sounds like you're doing right now. And
absolutely.
Helping you do that. I love hearing that. To any agent that's thinking about coming on with us, maybe they've been burned in the past. Maybe it's their first time investing in somebody in a company to help them with this. Maybe they're just like unsure about whether they even want to get started with, investing in their business. Yeah. What do you like if they're thinking about coming onto EstateNurture? Do you have any words for them, or can you shed any insight to an agent like that?
Yeah, I think it's a value-based decision. If you truly value yourself, you value your skill set, you value your business, then it's a no-brainer to then translate that value over to someone like yourselves who value us as agents. And that's where we really kind of connect. And in that values-based decision, it really, it allows me to really do what I need to do. Because what happens is for agents out there that are kind of like, do I do it? Do I not do it? I get it. I've been there. You know, there's so many companies trying to get your attention, saying that we got the next best thing. But you know what? Just because they can promise it doesn't mean they can execute on it. And so that's why, and again, I took years of experience. So I asked a lot of the questions before I said yes to you guys. But once you guys were on the ball, you answered all the questions. I love the technology, but I knew that once I jumped in, I was going to give it everything. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this because, you know what? I got a family to feed, and I got a life to live. I got dreams, and you know what? And when I don't actually take advantage of what you guys are handing me, then I have to give up one of those. So it's usually, you know, it's then becomes like survival. I just got to, you know, live to pay the bills instead of then you abandon your dreams. And I think when you can really align the values and partner together, you're not only taking care and putting food on the table, but you're working towards those dreams. And that's what I feel like this has been a perfect kind of partnership. You know, again, it's just, to me, it's just been a no-brainer. But another thing is, the reason I also gave up another marketing company was because you guys have really executed. You guys have come through, exceeded expectations, and which I really appreciate. It's, again, there's just so many people out there that's just noise. And if people make a decision to go with you with EstateNurture, it's going to definitely be their best decision.
I appreciate them. And I on the note of hitting dreams, one of my favorite lines that I've always heard is, if you don't make a sacrifice to get to your dream, then your dream becomes the sacrifice.
Yes.
Right? And I can't tell you how many agents I see get in this kind of paralysis stage when it comes to making a decision about, like, is it time to move forward and make that step and like really put into myself and trust myself and invest in myself.
Yeah.
And then they never feel comfortable, like, you know, pulling the trigger on themselves.
Yeah.
And before they know it, the goals and aspirations that they had that got them into real estate in the first place are the first thing, you know, it kills them.
Well, you think about it this way. I mean, here's kind of the way I broke it down.
Yeah.
After my first conversation, I looked at the startup fee, and then even you guys said, hey, we're willing to even split it to support you in that. And then I looked at, okay, my ad spend's gonna be $500 a month. So when I looked at that, I kind of broke it down annually. Here's what I'm going to pay for my ad spend in the course of a year, plus the cost of startup, and then cost of the appointments. And at the end of the day, it really came down to, that's realistically just one deal. Like, I mean, in the court, one deal could pay for the entire year of marketing. You know what? And that's like, say, $600,000 home, $500,000 home. Say you got two $250,000 homes. Your marketing is covered for the entire year, and you're constantly getting leads coming in. You're constantly getting support. You're getting access to the coaching that you guys provide. You know, just again, I think I got a saying that I've always lived by is, you know, when you're kind of at a place like, do I do it? Do I not do it? You think about it like this way. You throw your heart over the wall, your body will follow.
I love that.
Yeah,
that's true too.
Yeah.
You know, your body's
I think if people just realize the value in it, throw their heart into it, and realize all it takes is one deal. Yeah. One deal is going to cover the cost of it. You know, they're worth it. So therefore, invest in themselves, and it's going to convert.
So to clarify, out of the 2 deals in the last 4 weeks that you've gotten from us, you've made return on investment from those 2, correct?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I paid for the entire year.
Cool. I love that, man, and I can't wait to see many more come.
Yeah.
I guess my question.
I'll just say this. You hear a lot of agents, and this is, again, I have a whole stack that I'm working off of EstateNurture leads, just again, getting on the phone, calling them. And again, just in the period of the past 5 weeks, realizing I've made more in 4 weeks than the average agent makes in 1 year, which is humbling, especially as a first-year agent, you know, kind of really full-time. And so I say that it's like, if I can do it, other people can do this. It's just, again, commitment, working the process. And the other thing I would always say in consulting is, you know, you plan your work, you work the plan, and that's the plan that works. So if you carve out the time to actually work this, it's going to work for you.
I love that. And I appreciate that last note. You know, if you can do it, and I will say, you're not the average agent. You know, you got some, like, you're an outgoing guy that you can tell, you know what you're doing.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely. At the same time, I love that. If you can do it, right? First year agent, if you can do it, then anyone can do it. So,
yeah.
A last question. I have a feeling I don't know the answer to this, but do you recommend EstateNurture?
Ah, without a doubt. It's a no-brainer. It's like just when I was talking to Kayla about coming on and connecting with you guys, and I was like, done. I've been asked by other people. I'm like, no, not until I know that I know, because my name's going to be out there, my face can be out there. People are like, that guy convinced me to do it, and that thing didn't work. And that's because again, my integrity is also my equity, and so for me, this is a no-brainer because I believe in EstateNurture. I absolutely believe in your team, your support, what you guys are giving me as results to set me up to win. And again, it's affordable compared to so many other programs out there. It's so much more affordable. And you guys are just, it's enjoyable. I actually look forward to my conversations with Kayla instead of like, oh God, I got to do another meeting. It's like, I know that she's always,
that makes my heart happy. That's good.
Oh no, absolutely. And I love that you have a great team. You can see the one thing I'll say this too. I would always say in consulting is that culture eats strategy for lunch. And the one thing that EstateNurture has is a solid culture. Therefore, you have a solid strategy, and you guys are doing great things.
Thank you. It's the hardest thing, that you can ask Kayla. It's one of the things that we've tried to cultivate for so long. Yep. It's not something that's easy to come by. Though I want to hit, you said affordability, right? And I talked about the 3 reasons that people would ever leave.
Yeah.
Affordability, I guess, is the 4th, right? You could have a great solution that's tailored for the agent, and they love staying, but they can't afford it unless they're, getting a deal every single month. And not every month will you actually get a closing. And so realistically, we want to make the program, and we made the program in a way that money should never be a reason that you have to leave us, right? Unlike some other programs that are, $1,500, $2,000, $2,500 a month, where we've always tried to make sure that from here on out, we only get paid when we're performing, and when we're performing, you guys usually get some pretty good stuff in return too. So
absolutely.
Jared, I appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much for this. Any questions that you think other people watching might have that you came on ready to answer that I haven't asked you already?
No, the one thing I would say is just, do you figure out who you are? Because again, it's something I was kind of sharing with you previously, is you can even get great lead source, but if you are not confident in who you are and what you're providing, and really that comes down to even how you brand yourself. And I'll just finish with this. I share this with a lot of agents when I do some teaching and coaching, is that there's a book called Purple Cow by Seth Godin, written 17 years ago. And the whole premise is that if you're driving through the fields and you are out in the country and you see 1,000 cattle, what's going to make them stand out? Because they all have different spots, but they don't stand out. But if you saw a purple one, it's going to stand out. And so the one thing about it, like EstateNurture, you guys stand out. You're becoming that purple cow in this industry of marketing. So just like you guys are, we as agents also need to become that purple cow. And that's one reason I branded myself, taking my experience in the past, which I shared, I brand myself as life coach agent. So therefore, when I'm talking to people for the first time, they go, what do you do? Instead of saying, hey, I'm a real estate agent, which everybody is in Orlando, I go, I'm a life coach agent. And they go, what's that? And that gives me the opportunity, that becomes my value proposition, where I can share with them and earn the right. And then suddenly I'm able to do that. And that's what opens the door. So if you can find the thing as an agent that makes you unique and different, you, the purple cow in your city, in your town, that makes you stand out. And it really starts in your conversation. Why should people work with you? And at the same day, the same applies to EstateNurture. Why should people work with you? Well, I'll tell you, because you guys are unique and different. What you're doing, you are a purple cow in this industry. And for that, I appreciate it. And that's what resonates with me. I
appreciate that. And I'm going to help out by saying that's not an excuse for everyone else to go call themselves a life coach agent, right?
No, it's trademarked. I already got it trademarked.
Jared, I appreciate the time, man. Kayla, whenever you're ready, you can stop the recording. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. So great being here.